Hey, welcome to BSB TV. That took forever to turn on today. Today, I've got Nick Phillips, and we're going to talk about community, engaging with your community. Now, you may or may not know Nick Phillips. Was that your stage name, Nick?
Yes, mate. Nicky Phillips. Initially, I came out as Nick Phillips. My birth name's actually Mark Phillips, but I was when I got my first record deal, they wouldn't sign me under that because at the time, Princess Anne and Captain Mark Phillips was all over the news, so they wouldn't sign me. So I was being managed by Jamie Dunn at that time. You know, I actually had a puppet aggro managing me, which was scary.
Yep.
And Jamie was in the States talking to the record people we were working with, and they said, "Oh, they want to call you Nicky Phillips." I said, "Whatever, that's fine." And my parents found it hilarious because our dog's name was Nicky. So,
Well, there you go. You ended up getting named after the dog. I don't know whether that's going up in the world or down in the world.
Mum
But hey,
got a lot of mileage out of it, I can tell you.
absolutely. Look, we all do love our dogs, that's for sure. So we want to talk about, engaging with your community and different ways to engage with the community. And you're a singer-songwriter. And so it's really interesting from that perspective about the whole storytelling thing. For years, people have been saying in marketing, hey, you've got to tell your story. You've got to tell your story, and you've got to build a tribe, engage with them, tell your story, become authentic. So where does starting to tell your story start for you?
I've had a unique, musical journey in many ways. Like I've been the local sort of pub artist through to having 7 albums out to being the only Westerner I know to actually get to #3 on the Chinese music charts. And in between all of that, I've written songs for State of Origin, Queensland Reds, Australian Defence Force, and all this stuff. And I've had a unique perspective of how you write songs that are genuine songs, not ads or jingles, but genuine songs, but to meet a brief or to meet an outcome. And that's something a lot of musicians, they're either kind of jingle writers or songwriters. And I've sort of been able to blend those two a little bit. And that's
I
been
just want you to go back a step before you go to the next point, because #3 on the Chinese music charts. How do you get? how does that come about?
It was all very much by accident in many ways. I ended up going over to China at the invitation of Premier Peter Beattie at the time. I had my album come out and we were looking for new ways to license it to different territories. And it was at one of the parliamentary balls we were performing at. And I said, it was his birthday, and I gave him a CD for his birthday and said, we're trying to license this. And he just set up the Creative Industries of Trade Queensland and said, they contacted me shortly after and said, do you want to go over to China? And I said, probably not. I was terrified. China had never been on my radar. And I thought, I had longer hair, earrings, all this stuff. And the thought of, bumping into a Chinese government official, I thought, well, I get out of there, But I thought, I'll go have a look. And look, I just fell in love with the place from day one. It was an amazing journey. Cutting a long story short, I accidentally did things the right way. I signed early to a Chinese government record company to release that album. When they had the Sichuan earthquake, I wrote a song, which was the first one I sang in Chinese with a pretty big Chinese artist, which was a flagship song for a televised event that raised over $1 million for the Chinese Red Cross. And then I kind of ended up working with the largest pop label in China, and they got this song, a duet I did, once again in Chinese and English, to #3. And the song did okay, it did well, but it was more the fact that the guys I was working with knew how the market worked, they knew how the industry worked, and they knew how to chart the songs and get it there and get it on the media. And I was doing TV shows to 70 million people, and most Chinese people wouldn't have known me, but I was the only one kind of doing that as a Western guy. And so, but a lot of that came back to my skills in the way of seeing how you can use music to connect with people, even beyond languages and cultures. And that journey for me, the hard part, what ended up in China, the hard part for me was it was hard to get the real backing from here to develop that properly. And I had to try and look at other business things. And that took me way out of my zone of experience and knowledge and everything else. And it's been so nice for me to be back focusing in on my music these days. But I'm using what I learned through those type of journeys and with the origin songs and things like that in how you take that experience to now look at, well strategically, more than ever before, people are listening to more songs than ever before with streaming services and everything else. And people know that songs are great communicators, but strategically, very few businesses or organizations use them to connect to people. They still think in terms of jingles and novelty songs, and that's kind of gone the way of the dinosaur. But I'm talking more about how do we harness the power of real songs, create real emotions and memories with people, and then utilize that in your marketing, but also your engagement, whether it be with a new market or with your established network you already have, your staff, invigorate your staff. Music has the power to do all those things.
And I guess it's really about representing your brand, because so many people will post into the group from time to time things about, hey, how do I get a viral video?
Mm-hmm.
Right? One, you've got to produce lots of videos, and maybe one of them will go viral. Two, it's got to be unique. It can't just be the same as everything else. It can't be another copy, me too, or it's not going to go viral. If it's not completely new, if it's not completely unique, if it's not completely you and authentic, then it's not going to have the cut through.
Well, I think one of the big challenges is it's such a saturated market these days that, you know, and the algorithms and all that are being used by social media outlets. They're really hard to get through unless you're spending big. Again, we've gone back to that old big time spend. So I'm thinking, well, instead of trying to actually get your message out to the masses, which is what all that's about, viral videos, how about focusing in on your immediate network? So how do you create a song that isn't about your business, isn't about it may sound like your business and sound like your brand, but if it was about your business, it would be a commercial. And we get hit by tens of thousands of advertising messages each day, and we block them out. So you don't want a commercial.
And that's just become white noise. So many people, we just scroll past.
Yes. So if you were to have a song it needs to be about something that is reflective of your business. So you might have a product that's good for the environment. So maybe it's a song about the environment. Maybe it's about something to do with family values or looking after kids, or, you know, something that connects with you and your principles, but also is appealing to your client base and your networks. So then instead of trying to get this song out to the masses, make it a worldwide hit, the idea is to come up with something that you can share with your immediate network, with your staff, with your family and your friends, and maybe you can align your song then with a charity. So let's say, for example, the Smith family, whatever. And you encourage people to come to your website, hear your song that you've produced, which is a unique story to tell. Why is this lawyer firm making a song? It's kind of tweaks the interest anyway. Come to the platform, download the song, maybe donate $5 for the song to the charity, but then be encouraged to on-share that to their network. And so your network really becomes an old style word of mouth network marketing team based on your song. And then once you've done that, you know, within the song, we can build in little elements of like audio brands and audio assets that can, you know, go into your touch points. But also you can put on events, put on a little music night locally where you invite your friends along and you've got your song and the artist who performed it and maybe some other things. Or, you know, at Christmas time, get your staff to make a little homemade video to your song that you share out to your friends. You know, just all these different ideas you can creatively work around a song. And then you maybe don't want to change your song in 18 months time, but maybe to refreshen it with a bit of a new version that you can keep touching with. So I think there's a lot of longevity and mileage that can be used out of the concept of a song.
Absolutely. You know, having something that is completely you and unique is a really great idea. So it really is about, you know, building that. Here's a great way to build the tribe. When, you know, don't make it about you, but make it about your brand and your values and the things that are uniquely you and the reason that your clients come along. So I want to thank you a lot for coming along. Now you're actually doing a little bit of work with Queensland Education, you were saying.
Kind of. Well, I have a show that I do called the Sunshine State of Mind show. It's a one-man show I've written and produced, and I kind of am focusing on it around the whole, you know, COVID thing at the moment, where, you know, people have got smaller numbers and you have to work with it. So it's a show people sit down and watch. But the concept of the show is that I reminiscing on how if we can bottle up the Queensland spirit and get everyone having a nip of that night and morning, we'll solve all the world's problems. And while I'm doing this via my TV that sits with me on the show, one of the State of Origin legends comes on and sends me on a journey to basically explore the Queensland spirit, understand it, and save the world, you know. So then they'll go on this little journey. And part of it, what we do is we look at some of the characters around the place. And I wrote one of the songs about an unsung hero, a teacher out in the Lockie Valley called Di Pedersen. Now, Di's story is that, yeah, going back a bit, one thing we've discovered out of the whole COVID thing, you know, our perception of what our local heroes are has changed a lot. You know, now the people who stock the shelves in the supermarkets, those who kept working at the service stations, you know, the teachers who kept teaching our kids, we've got a sense that, you know, we really need to respect these people right across the board more. So I had the opportunity to, so that's within my show. I try and look at some of those type of people who, really have the Queensland spirit, but don't often get recognised for it. Now, Di had invited me out to her little school earlier in the year to hand out leadership badges. And I was blown away how brilliant the school was. It's a small school, less than 60 kids. She's been there for 16 years. She's really respected in the education department, but had been offered other advancements, but she decided to stay in that community because she knows she has so much value to give. Now, just going long story short, she'd asked me to write a song for the school. So that night I went home and I was researching about the area, the background of the school, and I stumbled across her Facebook page. And here it was about 8 o'clock at night, and she's live streaming a thing called Mrs. P's Bedtime Stories. So she realized that some of the parents in the community were struggling economically, and they struggled to read to their kids or to tell stories to their kids. So she gets online every night and does it herself to help them out. And to me, that's like that's what builds our communities. That's what makes our communities stronger, when you create those type of people. So I wrote a song for her. The education department apparently going to help by getting stories out with the Courier Mail and all that stuff. I'm actually hunting around now to get some sponsors to help studio record the song, but also shoot a film clip for it. And then we want to align that to an education charity. And the idea is that for a business, once again, it gives them a way to be seen, to publicly supporting Queensland communities in a healthy way. We'll align to a charity that the business is happy with. But also it starts then opening up new networks to them, maybe through the Teachers Union or other things, other organisations, I'm sure will get on support this cause. So it's an example in real time of how a business can get involved. Sure, there's a spend in the sponsorship side, but it's not a big spend for actually the time frame and everything goes with it. But it opens up avenues that, if you're interested in that type of demographic, say for the education sector, that's a hard way to get you, to stand out above the crowd. Is a way that might be worth exploring. So yeah, that's
absolutely really, really interesting story, and a real live example of how you can use music and song to actually build connection and build community and tell those untold stories, because it doesn't have to be about you. So really interesting thing. I want to thank you for your time, Nick. You do have your Sunshine State of Mind tour. It is awesome. I got to sit next to that Queensland League legend. Awesome. Being a New South Wales fan, I did forget to mention that night.
But mate, it ends up being an inclusive story. Sure, we celebrate Queensland and we have a bit of a dig at the cockroaches, mate. But at the end of the whole show wraps up with the fact that we've got this journey. Let's pump our Queensland spirit, because as a nation, we need to be working there for each other. So I tried to make sure I wasn't doing too much of a dig at the Blues.
I know. Unfortunately, that Queensland spirit did come through in this year's State of Origin. But anyway, we're going to finish with that. Everybody else should be on a happy note except me. So you're going to start posting up when your shows are as well in the event section on the website, so that people can actually come along and even see that show. It is a great night. It is about community, and take a few friends along, have a beer, and basically people just give you a donation at the end of the night. There's no set fee or anything generally. I think that's the way it's going.
Well, that is changing. Like as we do it more in civic centres and things like that, they're ticketed shows. But I am open to like talking to, if you've got a business and you'd like to have the show and put on a night where you can get 30 or 40 of your friends around, I'll do the show for you. And yes, in those cases, I've been saying I'll open my guitar case at the end of the night and put dollars in, and usually people are reasonably generous with that if they enjoy it, because it is a good show. I can back it on that. So I'm just really keen to explore different opportunities for connecting people through music, and that the world's changed a bit now, so we've got to look at new ideas and new avenues. So let's just toss it out there and see what happens.
Absolutely. Look, we might even try and have a New Year show, because I know people are already getting booked up for Christmas and all that sort of stuff. But it could be a good way for us to kick off the year, to invite you along, find a place, invite you along, and just have a little bit of fun, networking, catching up, and then having a really enjoyable show. So that's truly fantastic. Look, thanks very much for your time. I really appreciate it.
Thank you very much, mate. Really appreciate your time.
That's okay.